You are listening to Eastman's Flycast, an adventure fly fishing specific podcast covering travel, tactics, and next level insight. Now your host, Brian Barney.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Got a brand new Eastman's Flycast for you. So today, me and Dillon get on the podcast and just get rapping about fishing. We start the conversation talking about steelheading. We had plans to go steelheading this weekend. I've done really good on these dates before, and as I kind of get the report and look at the flows and things, it's not going to work out. So I just let it play in its entirety from the beginning, kind of talking about steelheading and how it's not going to work. We kind of cancel our plans, and then by the end, we make other plans to be fishing this weekend. So it's a great podcast. It's just so easy with my buddy Dillon. He's just got such a passion for fly fishing. Such a student of the game, really trying to learn and being fishy. And so, today we get on, we talk about fishing streamers, we talk about swinging, some new revelations I've found on the hook set on the swing. We talk about nymphing a bit, and we just talk about being fishy, like what it takes to be fishy. So it made for a great conversation. Love doing these with Dillon, and so hope you guys enjoy it. Eastman's Flycast. I'm your host, Brian Barney. Dillon Ness on there, and here it is.
Yep. Yeah, but no, what are you up to?
Not too much. Just getting through my day here. Mondays are always a little bit hectic, trying to figure everything out, where everybody's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trying to play the weather.
Yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Gosh, it looks like we're going to get hammered tomorrow through Thursday.
Yeah, dude, I got some bad news, so I called over to get the report, and it's not fishing yet.
Dude, I was going to say that. I looked the other day. I was like, I'm going to totally believe in Brian, and just whatever he says goes. But I looked at that report, like that. It shows you, like, everybody they check,
Yep.
And they had checked, like, I don't know, it was like 43 or 53 dudes. And I don't know, it came up to be like one fish per every like 11 hours of fishing. And then I was like, I wonder what the deal is, And then I looked at water temps, and it was like 32, 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of years it fishes so good, like in December and January, but just depends on the year and the conditions, I like the flow of it. It just it's been blowing slush ice. It hasn't even been fishable for like the last 10, 11 days. And it's supposed to warm up on Saturday, and I think get rid of a lot of the slush ice, but it's like dammed up with ice in a couple spots too, and it's just not going on. They're not catching them. It's it may be good like lower on the system or something. I've got a buddy Willie that fishes lower on the system, but I think we just wait until the conditions are right. I mean, that and like the snow, like we talked about roads, I think last time, gnarly roads. Like you want to talk about a gnarly road, like be careful going over Lolo. Like Jesus, that place like is the slickest road on planet Earth, like the windiest road going down through there. So I think we just got to wait till it's right.
I think that's a good call. Yeah, I was going to wait for you to say something because I was like, I don't know the first thing about this. This is totally new to me. So I was like, if Barney says it's on, I'm going, But I might be reading the complete wrong shit. But no, I was looking in the right spot, I guess.
Well, thanks for the blind faith, anyways. But yeah, we got to call it. In snowy roads, I don't know. It'd be fun to like join up and do some fishing adventure somewhere. We'll have to just see what the roads are. But forecast around here is pretty decent for Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Over here, it's a little colder Saturday. I was actually just looking at that. I don't want to screw up this call, but I'll look. But I think, over here it's cooler. But your direction, I was like, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And then Monday on over this way looks like spring. Yeah, like 37 to 41 for a lot of those days. So, there'll be some stuff that's fishing for sure.
Yeah, we'll be fishing before we know it.
Oh yeah. And the Madison's fishing anyways, ain't it?
Oh yeah, it's been fishing good. It actually it gorged up all the way up past Burnt Tree, so like
Oh,
it starts to freeze at the lake, and then that slush ice starts to come, and when it gets cold, it starts freezing, and it gets to be well like on the banks of the Yellowstone where you see like those big 6-8 foot snowdrifts. Like it starts to do that with the Madison, just freeze solid. It actually
oh,
freezes
geez.
from the bottom up, and then gorges all the way. So right now it's gorged all the way past town, up past 8 Mile.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Oh, geez. Gosh, and this is, I mean, God, you were fishing what, a week, 10 days ago?
Oh my
Not
God,
even?
it was
10 days
so
ago?
good. It was so dynamite. There was nobody on the river, and like just really good wintertime fishing. Like the off season on these systems are just so good. And yeah, I couldn't believe the size of the trout. Like I sent you like one of those big hefty rainbows I
Mm-hmm.
caught, and I swear I lost a couple that were bigger than that thing. One at my feet that I fought for 5 minutes.
Oh, God. And those were on the swing or nymphing?
Yeah, so I hooked 5 on the swing one day, and then 3 on the swing the next day, and then hooked just about as many, or maybe a touch more nymphing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. God, I want to get out and give that hook set that you're telling me about on the swing. I want to give that a try.
Yeah.
The initial just bump,
Yeah, so like
instead of waiting.
steelhead, when you're swinging, you just swing and then you just let them grab it. And I think the weight of the fish really hooks himself onto that thing. But
Hmm.
I found like trout, my hookup on the swing, I have a horrible percentage, man. I mean, horrible. Like I'm talking
Yep.
maybe. I maybe get 20 or 30% of my fish, and it's usually like on big hooks too, like big streamers, double hook articulating, and I catch 20 to 30% of my fish. So, like, I am not being effective on that swing, even though I'm getting fish to chase it and grab it. Like, I'm not hooking them as well. Like, it seems like I'll hook them and feel them for a little bit and then lose them. They're not even like bumps where it's like, oh, that was a fish. It was like, oh, I hooked him and I lost him. And so, yeah, I was telling you, like my percentage started to go up drastically. Like I lost a good one on the swing, lost maybe a couple and landed one or something, and then I had another one eat, and I had so many eats that day. Like 5 eats on the swing is pretty good, on that
Yeah.
on the big sculpin in wintertime. And so like I got another bump out through there in the money spot, and instead of just letting them eat it, I actually set the hook on it. Like I was ready for it and set the hook, and
Yeah.
hooked that fish and landed him, and then proceeded to land like my next 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 doing that method. So I think I may be on to something.
Yeah. No, that's so legit because I usually swing those smaller sculpin patterns with that. I tie it where that hook is, and it's a size 6. It's all the way in the back, like on the tail. You've seen it.
Yeah, you gave me a
And
couple, man. They're an awesome bug.
yeah, and it seems like some days, because I was taught too the same way, you know, weight, bump, 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 and then the weight of the fish basically when they actually grab, basically hooks or sets the hook. But there's been days like you were saying, and I was thinking back when you told me this, there's been days where it's like you kind of just feel it, and as soon as you feel that first bump and you give it a little, and your hookup rate goes way up. And I was thinking about that, but maybe for me on some of those days I was getting, just blind luck, but they were just eating it different. But now thinking about it, how you're setting that hook on that initial grab, there might be something to that with the trout, because my hookup rate too for the longest time has just been, it's like, oh, there's one, but you don't connect, or like you said, you rodeo them for a sec. But yeah, I'm excited to get back out and just try that initial grab, just give it to them a little bit.
Man, it's so effective, that swinging. Like I have that spay rod, and you do too. Like we've been spay rod double handing for these trout, which not many guys do. And that swing is so fun. Like our funnest way to catch fish is like on those big streamers, and it's like a different way to cover the hole. Like you get like a big broad inside, or you get this big hole, and so then all of a sudden, you're casting like almost at a 45-degree down. It's not quite that much across the river,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less than that, but just for example, say 45-degree, probably more like 30 or something. You get your cast and you cast all the way across, and then you swing with a weighted leader, and you can get different weighted leaders that have different sink rates, but you find the one that's good for the system that you're fishing, and then you swing it through there. And it just swings through like really deep. And like I think it even sometimes you'll bump bottom or something, but you're swinging through really deep. And if it does tend to hang up, if it's a shallower run or if it gets slower, then you start stripping a little bit as it gets closer to you, like where it would bump bottom or where it would hang up. But then you take 2 steps down and then you swing that run again. So it's like different than nymphing, where you get like a nymphing line that you run. You like swing it all the way across the run. So those giant like inside corners, it's highly effective. Like I just need to keep dialing it in, because I think it's a technique that hardly anybody's using, and that those fish just love to eat, and those big fish love to eat. And I've caught some big fish off my double hander, but I think I can do better yet, man. I think it's a highly effective tactic.
I do too. And the thing that I really like about it is I'll start like say in the wintertime, because it's usually in the colder weather when I like to swing. And so I'll start at the very head of the run and work my way, knowing that down towards the tail out, the buckets at the end, that's probably where I'll get into fish. But I start at the very beginning, and I'll just systematically, like you said, take a step, take 2 steps. It's I kind of gauge it off of, water temp on how many steps I'll take in between each cast. If it's really cold, like if there's a day where, that water's in the 37-degree range, pretty cold to chase, I'll take 1 step, and then work it and then take 1 step. But the thing when I'm really trying to swing a run where I know fish are held up, it's, not necessarily that 40 to 42 degree water that these fish in that system that they start chasing. Then I'll really just work it, and then I'll start over, and I'll either change the tip, the sink tip, or I will put on a little heavier bug. And it's crazy how many times I've worked through a run knowing, there's fish in there, and if you just got to find their depth. And so I just totally work the entire column top to bottom until I find them. And it's crazy. Like the last time I was swinging through, and it was my second time through. And instead of changing because it's not a super deep run, and it is a little bit slower. And I use a floating head on my spay rod. So I just change out the tips, and I like running a little bit shorter tips for some of these runs. So I was using a 7.5 foot, I think it's like a 7 inch per second sink. So nothing too crazy. Mm-hmm. And, but I changed I changed to a slump buster. And so cone head, it's basically the swing fly that I tie, but it has more head weight. And gosh, as soon as I switched to that, it was like I just got right in the zone, just boom, boom, just every other cast. It was like, I was either hooking up or I was feeling bumps. It was so wild, but it was cool because that first time through, I just must have been up above those fish, and they just weren't willing to move for it yet. But once I changed that bug, got down a little deeper, it was game on. It was pretty cool.
God, there's so many nuances to it, isn't it? Like just fine-tuning your fishing techniques, and whether that's nymphing or swinging or streamer fishing. And two, like I think where I need to use it more is like out of the boat. Like, I love that up and behind the boat and bringing back in, but I think, it's like having different tools in your toolbox. So going down in a drift boat, I think a lot of times, too, swinging those runs, you'll get bites, to where, not quite throwing at a 90-degree angle to the bank, like almost casting downstream, and then swing it for a little ways before I strip it back in, and just mixing things up. You're always mixing up your cast, and you're mixing up your, your strip, whether it's slow, whether it's fast, whether it's big and long, with the pauses in it, but also, swinging that bug around a little bit more. I think that's something that I could really, really add to my repertoire to really help pick up more fish, because, man, they like to eat it on that swing. I've sight fished for rainbows before. Like, I've got this good spot where these rainbows are in there, and I'd sight fish them with nymphs and things, and almost like New Zealand style, like see them in there and nymph for them. And then I'd take a streamer out there, and it's wild. Like, I could hardly get those rainbows to chase it, to come after it, but if I could swing it right in front of their face, they couldn't help but eat that thing, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing, the size difference. Like, I could sit there and nymph for fish and catch some good ones, but man, that streamer, it just hunts for the biggest fish in there, just like the biggest ones you want to catch, you know. So I definitely think there's something to it, you know, to that swing and getting that bug down to him, man. It's an art, like all of it is.
Yeah, no, that's no kidding. And like you said, for some reason, I've found on a lot of these systems around me, those big rainbows, I don't catch a lot of them on the strip, but on the swing, they just can't help themselves. And it's like the only time I'll ever catch those, 22, 25-inch rainbows is on the swing. And it must just be something so natural about that bug covering the water that way on just a natural swing that just trips something on them and they just can't help themselves. But I like what you were saying. It's like there's so many nuances to the nymph and the streamer fish and the swinging, and it's you just have to be able to dig deep in your toolbox and pull it out, because it's like perfect example the other day when I was on the bighorn. When I went in the fly shop, I figured I knew what they were going to be eating, but it wasn't so much that. I asked the guy, what kind of water are they in? And it's one thing that I learned a long time ago. It's like, not so much, because you go in the fly shop and God bless their soul, it's like, yeah, they're going to sell you bugs, but it's like, you usually know what they're going to be eating, but it's like, it's more so those guys that spend all day on the river every day. It's like, where are they living? Like, where are the fish holding, And so it's like, the one thing we had to do is, because we would change, the water levels would change. You go through a quick run and then it'd be deep and up. And it's like, we had to move our indicator a lot because those fish were holding deep, but we still wanted to fish through a lot of that stuff. So it's like, you just have to quick slip your indicator down, boom, get back to fishing, slide it back up. And instead of, my one buddy, he was a little bit lazy and didn't do that, and he didn't catch as many fish because he just didn't want to adjust things, didn't want to, when we were swinging, didn't want to change out his sink tip, and it's like, it's the little things, that the nuance to all of it, that everybody, you start to figure out, but it's like, you just can't be lazy. You got to be able to do it. You just got to take the time, take the 30 seconds, slide your indicator up or down, add a split shot, take one off, change out your sink tip, and it's like, then you're into catching instead of fishing.
Dude, you're so right. And it's so wild. Like, there is so much to it. You can be fishing next to somebody, fishing the exact same stuff and using the similar techniques, and one guy will catch twice or three times as many fish. And some days it's just your day, and you are that guy, and your buddy's not, or whatever. But even you when you fish with fishy guys, they just tie into a lot of fish. And sometimes it's like the unspoken things, or things you can't even describe. Sometimes, I think it's just like experience. It hones your instincts on the water, and so your instincts are what you rely upon, and that's past experiences, and you don't really think about it. It's almost like bow hunting. You just kind of react to what you're seeing or what you're doing. But there's something to being fishy, and it's almost like just the more you do it, the better you get at it. But sometimes you go with a guy and just super fishy, and he catches twice as many fish, and you're using the same bugs and the same tactics, and it's just the way it goes. And there are on and off days, and when you fish with a bunch of good fishermen, you're bound to go fishing with those guys, and especially
Yeah.
like fishing with you, like you usually always have a good day. It's like and some days you're lights out, but it's just, it comes down to experience. Like that hones like your craft and your skill set. And you can be standing side by side, elbow to elbow, doing the exact same thing, and one guy will catch twice as many fish. He's just fishy. And so like that's the goal, is trying to become fishy.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the thing is, and to become fishy, I think that's where guys, it's like when you're young, or when I was younger, say, it's like, you want to be one of those fishy guys. Well, the only way to become a little bit more fishy, and it's go to the fly shop and talk fishing. Go fish better than you. It's like, that's why I like fishing with you and my buddy Dave and stuff. It's like guys that I got a lot of respect for, and that I can always learn something too. It's like going out on the water. in with someone that is to the same level or beyond, and it's nothing's a competition, but it's like you just want to learn and take from experience from someone else. It's like that's why I was so excited to go steelhead fishing with you, because it's like something totally brand new. I mean, I can cast my spey rod, and that's about all I had to the deal. I guess I could amend it, but it's like just to learn and soak in all of your knowledge. That's what I mean. When we do get to go, that's what I'm so excited for, because it's like not only is it going to help, catch a steelhead, but it's also going to transpose into, nymphing for, trout at home. It might pick up something a little different, but it's like if you want to be fishy, you just have to, not necessarily live and breathe it, but it's like you got to be around fishy dudes, ask questions, and get into those sort of situations where you can learn and grow.
Dude, it is a level up. So well
Mm-hmm.
said. You're right. Like fishing with good guys, and just fishing with multitude of different guys. Like everybody has a different personality or skill set, or what. So just like fishing with different good fishermen, like you just pick up something from everybody you fish with. And you make a
Mm-hmm.
good point at the fly shops too. There's something to being social too, and not looking for anybody's secret spots, not looking to ruin anybody's water, but fly shops, those guys, they want to sell flies, and they're always like pretty fishy dudes that are working in there. Usually it's their
Mm-hmm.
life is fly fishing, and you go in and you rap with those guys for a little bit, and they're willing to share information. Sure, they're not going to send you to their best hole or to but they're going to tell you what bugs are working, what the fish are doing, where they're holding, just like you did. Like you go to a new spot, the first thing you should do is go swing by the fly shop and just see what's up and rap with those guys. And if you're nice and you don't go in with an ego, or
Mm-hmm.
they're usually going to share good intel with you, and that goes too for running into guys on the water too. Like a lot of these fisheries, there's a lot of fly fishermen there, and not that you have to ask to see person's flies, but just give them a hey, how's it going today, or hey, how's it doing. And you might get some good intel that'll help you out for that day or for that system. But especially those fly shops, like just being social and asking questions and going in, and nowadays too, like social media as well. There's a lot of good fly fishermen out there, and you don't want their secret spots or the system they're on, but just general information, or hey, I'm headed to your neck of the woods, like any good flies you recommend, or what's a good float there, like being
Mm-hmm.
nice and cordial and not trying to get information from them, but also trying to learn from those guys because they are willing to help.
Oh yeah. Yep. Nope. Definitely. And the other thing too, I was just thinking this as you were saying that, you can, like you said, you can learn from everybody. And like the perfect example, a handful of years like ago when Trev started fly fishing, it was like took the time. I mean, obviously he's a good buddy, and it's like go out fish with him, but it was teaching him. I retaught myself all the shit that I forgot. You know what I mean? Like all the basic, simple, and easy stuff. So it's like not only fishing with someone that is, a level up or at your level, but maybe teaching someone else, taking someone else fly fishing. It's like, because then you hear yourself talk about all the little things and all the little things that you forgot. And it's like, even rowing and stuff like that. It's like, it's wild to think back, like, yeah, God, just teaching Trev, and now Trev's a stud, but it's like, yeah, it's just wild. Yeah, you can learn from everybody in every situation. And to your next point of guys on like Instagram or the fly shop, it's like when I go into a fly shop, it's like it's usually somewhere where it's not my, neck of the woods, or it's not the water that I usually fish. So it's like I check every ounce of ego at the door and go in there like I don't know a darn thing. Because it's like you go in there and just ask questions and have zero ego and, nothing, just act like you're a total newbie. It's amazing the amount of information that will get put on you. And it's like, yeah, you might know a lot of it, but it's like there's always a couple little nuggets in there that are just like and where I caught my biggest fish a handful of days ago, it's like the guy totally just spilled the beans, and I'm just like, noted, pulled over, and I fished that hard and I caught a really nice fish, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, totally. You got to be willing to just ask questions and get out and fish and take the knowledge and transpose it to the river and put it to use and see what works for you.
Yeah, you just go in humble. You don't got to pretend anything. You just go in humble,
Yeah.
and like you say, asking questions and just being a student of the game, like trying to soak up any knowledge that they'll put out there. And they obviously have more days on those systems than I do, and I can learn something from anybody. But yeah, it's so important. That big fish you caught, is that brown you posted or you sent me the picture of, or is this another one you caught the other day?
That was a different one. Yeah, that was a different one. That brown that I posted and that I sent to you, that was the last like warm day, and that was on a freestone. But that was a rough day. That was one of those days that like you would have really appreciated. It was so tough, and it was like just have to stick to the guy that I had with me. I was like, dude, we just got to stick to the program. I was like, we might catch one fish, but it's probably going to be a good one. Like we had 8 inches of visibility. Like it was brutal. The wind kicked up, started howling. And I was like, we just got to soak up some sunshine, stick to the program, and just smile. And sure enough, I was like 3/4 of the way through the float, got into where this little spring kicked in, and it just gave just enough clarity. And I was lucky enough to be in the front at that point, and that was by design too. But yeah, smoked him, and it was a good one. Yeah, it was awesome.
Man, that's as good as it gets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like working hard for them. You just continue.
Yep.
Like when fishing's tough, you have to continue to fish hard. Like the moment you give in or give up, like you're not going to catch anything. You have to believe. Like you still have to do everything right, even on the bad fishing days, to turn one up. But that hole that you got the other day, somebody told you or gave you a good spot in there, and you went there and then caught that big one.
Yeah. So that was on the Bighorn. Yeah, that was on the Bighorn, and that was I don't fish it a lot, and so went in the fly shop, and the guy just told me, he goes, hey man, right here these fish have been stacked up, and they're kind of just, and this was they were sitting basically downstream from where they typically all go spawn, and he goes, they're just stacked up feeding right there. And he goes, if you want to throw streamers, he goes, you have a chance at catching a good one right through there. He goes, make sure you pull over though, because everybody floats over it. And so I pulled over, and right off the bat stroked one, and I just kind of worked it. And then I worked it down, and I didn't catch anything big. There was a couple nice like 16, 17-inch fish, and then I worked my way back up to the top and then started picking apart at more of a downstream angle, just working it just a little different, just gridding it out just a little different. And it wasn't, a dozen casts into it. I saw a piece of water that I had kind of missed on the time before, and yeah, he was just sitting there, and it was a good one. Yeah, 22, 23-inch brown, like, yeah, stout. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was way sweet. But just goes to show, if I would have been a goofball in the fly shop, honest to God, probably I wouldn't have floated over him. Like, I don't know how people were floating over him, but I wouldn't have probably stopped. It didn't look like a spot. You could walk out a little bit too. And sure enough, you could walk out there just a little ways and make some casts. And yeah, it was pretty killer. But it just was one of those deals where I gritted it down and restarted and kind of worked it at a different angle, because he told me, he's like, yeah, he goes, you can try and swing it through, but he goes, if you throw on a heavier, like I was using a sex dungeon when I caught the big one, bigger sex dungeon or something, and work that thing, kind of dredge it. He goes, they're down in there. And sure enough, he led me down the right path.
Good on you. Yeah. Man, it was so fire the other day when I was fishing, and I had it's like the devil's in the details sometimes, and I was nymphing with I didn't have the hook that I like. I had like a smaller hook, and gosh, I mean, I lost like a really good one right at my feet. It was like that 22 to 24 that I fought for 5 minutes, and they were eating so good that day, and I was like lost a couple on the swing, and then lost a few on nymphing, and usually nymphing's pretty rock solid. You get a good hook set on them, you got them. But gosh, those smaller hooks can be tricky. I really like fishing bigger bugs for that reason, just because when you get a hook set or get a hook into them, you got them. You're fighting them, and then it's up to you. You got good knots, a good hook that you trust, and you're just playing that fish until you get them. But man, the other day, you try not to get frustrated because losing fish is just part of it. But boy, when you lose that one you really want to touch, it's like, oh, dang it, And it's the
Yep.
day where they're really eating it. But, it's just the way it goes sometimes. I do have the right hooks now, and been spending more time on the vise, and, I've always I tie a lot of different nymphs, and then, handful of different streamers that work good for me. But those bigger streamers, God, I've always sucked at deer hair heads, And so, like, the other day, I just sat and tied a bunch of them, Watched some
Yeah.
YouTube on it and really got them spinning and full heads and got good trims with the razor blade on them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been working on, I got some pretty good sex dungeons I turned out that were pretty good, some good olive ones, and then some other good patterns that I liked. I tied some barely legals. I really like those. Gosh, they seem
That
to
one.
just be pretty swimmy in the water.
That one rabbit strip one you sent me, that thing looks nasty.
Oh, that was my go-to. Yeah, back in the day, that's all I used to fish.
Had those big dumbbell eyes on it too.
Yeah, that one fishes really good. It fishes good on the strip. Fishes good dead drifting. Fishes good on the swing. Like, it's just a great bug, and especially for this water around here, like, those fish just love that one. And you can't really buy it anywhere. At least I never see it anywhere. Like, it's like I love it when it's like your own pattern, like an original. But it's really fishy in the water.
Yeah, no, that's sweet. And what you're saying about YouTube, God, I love like on these cold days. If I get a little bored, I'll flip on YouTube and just start scrolling through, fly tying videos until I find a pattern that I, haven't tied or that I like. That it's like, God, if I put just a little twist on that, like how I like to fish it and tie it how I would, want to fish it. I love doing that. It's like I might not tie, some of them are a bust, but half of them work out all right. It's like I'm pretty I don't know. My box is about full of every style of sex dungeon a guy could ever want. Like I've got gallops, like totally original with a bunch of my stuff that's variations on it, but it's like every once in a while you find one of those patterns that's just like, that's gonna fish if I just either tie it how it is or switch up just a few things. Like that one I tied the other day has that deer hair head with a rabbit strip on the back, and it has like a sparkle minnow flash body. It's pretty sick, and God, it swims so good. I just the other day when I took it out, I couldn't give it its full dude, just because fishing was so cruddy. And it's like, God, if I'm gonna fish one bug, I gotta fish the OG on this thing. But I think it'll fish when we head down south. I think we give it a try. I think it's gonna wreck.
Oh, I bet you it will. Yeah, you like that green and black, your OG, which is your tie, is sure sick bug, man. That's caught a bunch of fish for you.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's my go-to. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think it goes back to you just sometimes you got to just fish what you have complete faith in. It's like if a fish is going to eat something, this is what he's going to eat. And it totally especially like on tough days, say like the other day when I was having a rough day, when you're fishing a bug you believe in. I know we've said this a million times, but when you're fishing a bug you believe in, you fish it different, and you just wholeheartedly fish it, and you've got to fish it. Like, if you don't hunt your bug, it's like you're just not in it. Strip. It just ain't the same as, really fishing your bug hard. And that black-headed olive, sex dungeon, something or other, it just fishes. Yeah, it just fishes, and I believe in it like there's no tomorrow.
There is something about having confidence in a bug. I was fishing with Charlie, and we were fishing the Madison, which we both fish a bunch, and we were going down through, and he was changing out bugs or putting on this bug, and he was putting on this bug, and I hate this pattern. Like, I don't fish it. It's I believe it's a boogeyman, and I should never, all Kellep's bugs are great. Like, they're a pattern for a reason, and I should know that. But I always believe, like, the boogeyman, it's got that mallard flank on it, and it seems to, like, never get down deep for me. So now I've fished this olive boogeyman for a while, and I just don't have any confidence in it. So I don't think I fish it very well, or I switch off really quick, or I use it like when fishing's slow, I'll put it on to try to catch something or whatever. But I just have no belief in it, And so like it's gone to the back of my box where I don't even use it. And then I'm fishing with Charlie, and the olive boogeyman is his go-to, and then he proceeds to catch 2 fish right in front of me in the same run on that same fly, all because he believes in it and I don't believe in it. You talk about the belief in a fly and how you fish it.
Yeah, and there's just something to it. I used to fish a boogeyman all the time, and I haven't fished one in probably, oh my gosh, 6-7 years. But you're right, and it's just like how to fish it, and I'm sure Charlie just has it down to a T. And it's like, but yeah, it's just so funny. It just goes to show. It's like he totally believes in it, and you believe in it, that catches fish.
I know, it's so funny. Yeah. There is something to that belief in the bug, but yeah, it's nice to have like different patterns. And last year that yellow did so good for me that I couldn't help but fish that. And and the big hole in the spring too fished really good on a tan. I don't fish a tan that often, and it was it was going down through just trying a different bug, and it wasn't black, white, olive, pick up a few here and there, but that tan really worked well. But that yellow was that produced my biggest fish last year, and quite a few big fish. Like, I like that yellow.
Yeah.
I don't seem to catch as many on it, but the ones I do catch, it's like a big fish hunter for me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When we fished together last year, whenever you were throwing yellow, it was like, it wasn't as many fish, but god dang, every fish that ate that sucker was 22, 23, 26. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way. I like fishing yellow for, I don't know. I always think yellow for some reason, and I don't know why, but I just think of big fish, But yeah, you proved that last year. Good Lord, that one you caught early on in the spring. Oof, I would have thrown yellow the rest of the year.
Well, that's why I threw yellow the rest of the year.
God,
the other thing I like to do too is size down those bugs. It seems like those minis will pick up more fish, and it's still big fish eat them. Like, I do believe the bigger the bug, the bigger the fish. A lot of times, like, it hunts for big fish, but I don't know. Some of those smaller patterns, they just hunt and seem to get more eats. Like, and sometimes like it's like a game changer to tie on one of those smaller ones. You'll just light them up on a smaller one, where a bigger one you're not getting as many eats or as many fish going after it. So I really like those small patterns too.
Yeah, you turned me on to those smaller ones. I actually started tying a bunch, and I got online and I bought a bunch because I couldn't find any those smaller dungeons and stuff like that. So I bought a bunch of those because we were having, you and I last year, it was about this time last year, we were having a really good day, and I was throwing bigger bugs. Well, then you switched to that. I think it was a small white, and it was like half the size, and you were catching just as big a fish, but more fish. And ever since then, it's like, it's kind of turned me on to that. And so I loaded up with a bunch of those. I can't wait to throw them. But I think you're right. I think it's all fish will eat them. It's one of those deals where you're still going to catch, a wide range of size fish on those bugs, but I still think those big fish will eat them, especially when it's hot. I mean, God, that one day you caught the 3-4 biggest fish, and it was all on that smaller white bug, and I was throwing that big bug all day, and I mean, you were catching bigger fish than I was.
Yeah, sometimes that mini will do it, won't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And dead drifting that thing. That's why I bought a bunch of them too, because like you were saying from this last summer, dead drifting those things. I'm like, yeah, that I can see how that could play.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got all my gear organized, flies tied. Like, man, I'm just ready to go out and feel a tug somewhere.
Me too. We need to get out and go do it. Yeah, God, I was so jazzed up for this weekend and Monday, or however many days we were to stay if it was good, but we're just gonna have to go to Plan B.
Yeah, got to go to Plan B, and we'll shoot for later in the season. It'll be good. I'll just keep watching weather, and then get the report there. And once it starts fishing good, we'll just shoot over and see if we can't catch some of those things. So we'll still make it happen. And we got to look to maybe connect like this weekend. Like, I know there's supposed to be a bunch of snow, but maybe Friday won't be a bad travel day, especially middle of the day. And if the highways are melted, And Saturday, definitely. It's supposed to be like almost 40 degrees. So, yeah, we should
Oof.
connect and go fish somewhere.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to get out again bad. So yeah, wherever we think it'll play, let's just go do it. Whether we got to run up and see Dan and go fish up there or whatever, I'm game.
Ooh, that might be a plan. Yeah, we might have to go do that. Go hunt for a giant up there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was looking at weather and stuff, but God, up there you can have frostbit fingers and it'll still fish, won't it?
Yeah, it'll still play up there. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. That and that's something I've never done either. So it's like, God, I say we go do that.
I'd say we do too. Yeah, we're like a little bit after the brown spawn, a little bit before the rainbow spawn, but I think there'll still be some really good fish in the system.
Oh yeah, and the post spawn just feed chasing bugs too. I've caught some big browns after they spawn. When they get back to trying to put on some weight, and it's like, oof, caught some of my biggest ones.
Oh, we got to give Dan a call. Yeah, we might have to head over there.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I'm in.
well, right on, man. Gonna be fishing here before we know it. Couple days out. Just need a little bit warmer weather, but it's gonna happen here. But thanks a bunch, man. I always appreciate it. I always love the conversations.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.